Hey guys, and welcome back to Magic the Gathering Arena. But now that we've completed the color challenges, got all the basic stuff unlocked, and I've had a bit of time to play around, we might go and unpack some packs. So I've got a few different packs, few of each of the current standard form that are coming up. I had a look at what's going to be available to be used in the 2021 season, I guess, of Magic the Gathering. And I thought we'll mostly focus on the core cards, but I'll grab a few packs of each of the expansions, I guess they are, that are going to be available for standard. So we'll open up these packs, we'll have a quick look through them. Obviously, I'm still learning the game. I don't know that much about it in terms of the card interactions, but this I think will be a good learning opportunity as well. So if you're interested in the pack openings and seeing what we get from them, hey, I'm going to be interested in it as well. So let's jump into it, and I'm not sure what order we'll do this in, whether the order matters or anything like that, but we'll jump in. We'll start with the core packs, I think. We might do a few of these and then switch it up, but I will have a quick look at each card. Won't be staring in depth at them. Well, this is probably not going to be a 10-hour video, otherwise it would end up being that way. So let's rip open our first pack here and have a look what we got. So my turn to slag. So I'm not a big red fan in general, but I really like this card, Mind Rot. I do like the idea of building sort of a black-blue deck around milling and potentially playing something like Jace. I'm not sure what it's called, the version where you win the game if you mill your own deck. Rookie Mistake. That's pretty good. Target creature gets +0/+2, another target creature gets -2/-0. Could really swing a combat interaction with that. May sacrifice a creature and discard the card. I really love the art on some of these as well. It's just terrifying. It makes me think of the Neverending Story, actually. Spined Megalodon. And so I don't mind that scrying. There are a lot of good interactions with scrying as well. It's a big body, at the same time 5/7. Look at the top two cards of the library, put one of them in your hand and the other in your graveyard. That's pretty good. Again, for that mechanic where we're trying to mill either our own deck or our opponent's deck. Fist Oak. Yeah. Temple of Malady, so it's a black-green land. Alright. Cool. Grab our second pack opening. Oh good, so we can... So I sort of figured out that these are used to craft. Still a little ways away from getting my first mythic rare. But we've got just a plain 7/3 for 5 mana. Gains protection from color of your choice. Okay. Gloom Sower becomes blocked by a creature. That creature's control loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. That's not bad. I think common wildcard. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may have Riddle Form and become a 3/3 Sphinx creature with flying in addition to its other types until end of turn. Okay. Just like an enchantment that stays in play. Can't choose an untapped creature as this spell's target as you control unenchanted creature. Okay, so you can take control of a tapped creature. Flash, non-token creature would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, exile it instead. Okay. I'm not sure about that interaction, so we'll leave that one alone for now. Alright, what do we got? Sanctum of Stone Fangs. Legendary enchantment. Beginning of your pre-combat main phase, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of shrines you control. Alright, so that'd be pretty cool if you had a few of these. Just an equipment artifact, +1/+1. Just a straight 2/5. 1/3 flying white creature. Draw a card, then draw cards equal to the number of cards named Frantic Inventory in your graveyard. Okay, so that's good for draw. Again, you'd have to have cast a few of them. 4/3 with reach. Turret Ogre enters the battlefield. Or greater. Okay, just burst down card. And draw a card, then discard a card. Sacrifice Obsessive Stitcher. Turn target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Alright. That's alright. And what do we get? Another land. Blue-green land. And it'll let you scry when it comes into the battlefield. Very cool. Alright, Daybreak Charger. White 3/1. Gives a buff on entry. Proof, just a... When it dies, deal 3 damage to any target. Okay. We got Bone Pit Brute. Crashing Brontodon. Sacrifice to destroy target artifact or enchantment. It doesn't have to be tapped either, so it could be an enchantment on itself. Archfiend's Vessel, lifelink. When Archfiend's Vessel enters the battlefield, if it entered from your graveyard, or if you cast it from your graveyard, exile it. If you do, create a 5/5 black demon creature token with flying. That's okay if you have a reliable way to bring things back from your graveyard. See the truth. Rest on the bottom of your library in any order. If you can cast sorcery from your graveyard or from exile, you keep all the cards. Gee, that's alright. Alright, why don't we mix it up a bit here? Let's have a look at Throne of Eldraine. What do we got in here? Oh, we're working towards our first mythic rare wildcard. 12 more packs. Artifact equipment, +1/+2. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, each Mantle of Tides, attach Mantle of Tides to target creature you control. Yeah, okay. Just a 1/1 flying, draws a card. Basically, not as good version of the one that they give you in the standard opening for blue. 3 target creatures, can't block this turn, destroy any that are wolves. Oh, that's a big bad wolf. Scorching Dragonfire deals 3 damage. Targets a creature or planeswalker would die this turn, exile instead. Target creature gets +2/+1 and gains Death Touch till the end of turn. Shark creature, +1/+1. Got an extra uncommon wild. Bay of Wishes. So you may cast this as an adventure. After you do exile it, you may then cast the creature later from exile. Okay. You may choose a non-creature card you own from outside the game, reveal it and put it into your hand. So from exile, presumably. Discard 2 cards, return Fey of Wishes to its owner's hand. Okay. That's interesting. I'm not sure how that interaction all works, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. Okay, Throne of Eldraine. What else have we got? Tournament Grounds. So you can either add any coloured land, add red, white or black, spend this mana only to cast a knight or equipment spell. That's okay, I guess. I don't know that I'd use it for anything at the moment, but Lucky Clover. Whenever you cast an adventure, instant or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. It's a pretty good artifact. Endwalker. Adamant. Spell has an additional effective cast with 3 mana of the indicated colour. If at least 3 mana of the same colour was spent to cast a spell, Endwalker enters battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. So it's a 3 mana 2/2 or 3/3. Another Tomb Raider. Another Lash of Thorns. Mountain. Untapped, create a 1/1 red dwarf creature. So it comes in untapped if you've already got 3 mountains. Okay. And what did we get? Oathsworn Knight. Oathsworn Knight enters the battlefield with 4 1/1 counters on it. Attacks each combat if able. If damage would be dealt to it, while it has a +1/+1 counter on it, prevent that damage and remove a 1/1 counter. Okay. So it gets progressively weaker but doesn't die. But it has to attack. I see. Alright, we'll do one more Eldraine and then we'll shift over and open one of the others, I think. Rally for the Throne. Create 2 1/1 white human creature tokens. If at least 3 white mana was spent to cast this spell, you gain 1 life for each creature you control. Wow, if you've got a bit of a board, that could really pump up your health. 7 dwarves. That can have up to 7 cards and have 7 dwarves. So that could come out as potentially a 8/8. Grimrock Knight. It's an adventure. Target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Boulder Rush. Oh, does that mean you pay 1 extra and it becomes the adventure? Maybe. Another Lash of Thorns. Charm Sleep. Tap enchanted creature. Doesn't untap. So it's just it's like the knot spell, the water knot or whatever it is. And Steelgaze Griffin. 2/4 flying. You draw 2 cards, it gets +2/+0. Alright. There's 3 less to cast. If an opponent has 7 more cards in their graveyard, draw 4 cards. That's pretty good for a mill deck, I would have thought. And the last one we got was the Magic Mirror. Legendary artifact. Jeez, it costs 9 mana. Costs 1 less to cast for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. With no maximum hand size. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a knowledge counter on the Magic Mirror, then draw a card for each knowledge counter on the Magic Mirror. Wow, I really like that. Just churn cards out, can you? Once you've got that in play. That's very cool. I even like the artwork on it. So I like the artwork on this one as well. Anyway. Let's have a look at Theros Beyond Death. What are they going to install for us? Escape Velocity. So it's an enchantment. We've got a 2/2 flash with flying. A 1/2 flying aura spells cost 1 less, that's alright. You're playing a white aura deck. Destroy a target creature with power 4 or greater, you gain 3 life. Impulsive can't be blocked by enchanted creatures or enchantment creatures. I wonder how that interaction works if someone tries to play an enchantment on a creature already assigned to block it. Target player loses 2 life. Escape. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its escape cost. So you can play it from the graveyard, but you have to exile 3 other cards from your graveyard and pay 4 mana. That's a lot to pay for 2 life. And the Birth of Malicious. As this saga enters, and after you draw step, add a lore counter. Sacrifice after 3 lore counters, so each turn progresses. So on the first turn, search your library for basic plains card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. Okay. Second turn, create a 0/4 colorless wall artifact creature token with Defender. And third, you gain 2 life. That doesn't seem that great, to be honest. given that it's taking up a card slot and you're having to wait 3 turns to get the full effect. What do we get? Allure of the Unknown, a black-red sorcery. Reveal top 6 cards. An opponent exiles a non-land card among them, then you put the rest into your hand. That opponent may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost. Ooh, that's like playing with fire. Pardon the pun. Alright, Theros. What else have we got? Arena Trickster. Whenever you cast your first spell during your opponent's turn, put a 1/1 counter on Arena Trickster. Okay. Trample at the beginning of each combat. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, Stampede Rider gets +1/+1 until the end of turn. Thrill of Possibility. As an additional cost to cast this spell, discard a card, draw 2 cards. Human Scout. Untap target creature. So if you're ramping with green, you could get extra ramp out of that, I guess. Archon of Falling Stars. You may return target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And Scoffos, Maze Warden, gets +1/+1, +1/-1 until the end of turn. Becomes a target of an ability of a land you control named Labyrinth of Scophos. You may have Scophos, Maze Warden fight that creature. Okay. Underworld Breach. Equal to the card's mana cost plus exile 3 other cards. Okay. Yeah. Alright, we've got another Saga. Binding of the Titans. Each player mills 3 cards. Exile up to 2 target cards from graveyards for each creature exiled. This way you gain 1 life. And return target creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, that has some utility by the look of it. Flash enchantment. When Omen of the Sea enters the battlefield, scry 2, then draw a card. Sacrifice Omen of the Sea, scry 2. Lots of scrying involved there. When Omen of the Forge enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target. Deny the Divine. Counter target creature or enchantment spell. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. Alright, so that's a nasty counter spell. Exile target artifact or enchantment. Flash, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+0 and first strike. Enchant creature. When enchanted creature dies, return that card to the battlefield under your control. So you could play that on the opponent's creature, kill it, and it pops up on your side. And Protean Thaumaturge. It's Constellation. This ability triggers when an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control. You may have become a copy of another target creature, except it has this ability. Okay. That's not too bad. Means it's relevant still in the late game. Alright, let's have a look at Ikoria. Alright, so we have 1 mythic rare now. That's good. Zagoth Crystal. So it's an artifact. We can add any one of those colors. You may pay the cycling cost to discard this card and draw a card. Okay. We just got an uncommon wild card. Gust of Wind. So it's a return and draw a card. So this cycles and you can bounce something to your opponent's hand. Alright, not so bad. Suffocating Fumes. Creatures your opponent control get -1/-1 until end of turn. So I can pay 5 mana to draw a card or 3 mana just to cast it. Mysterious Egg. Creature, Egg. When this creature mutates, put a 1/1 counter on it. Yeah, I don't know anything about the mutate mechanics, so I imagine that means something. Sacrifice Evolving Wild. Search your library for a basic land card. Put it onto the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle your library. So I guess that's good if you have a multicolored deck that requires specific land combinations. Shredded Sails. Destroy target artifact. Yeah, okay. And Extinction Event. Choose odd or even. Exile each creature with converted mana cost of the chosen value. 0 is even. So is converted mana cost just 3 plus skull is 4? I'm not sure. If you know, leave a comment and let me know. Alright, we got Boot Nipper. He enters the battlefield with your choice of Death Touch counter or a lifelink counter on it. Okay. It's a 2/1 for 2 mana. Can a target spell that targets a permanent you control? Draw a card. So it cycles, that's alright. Hampering Snare. Creatures your opponent control get -2/-0 until the end of turn. Cycling 2. Lots of cycling in this expansion. Creatures you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. Cycling. Another Mysterious Egg. Zenith Flare. Deals X damage to any target and you gain X life, where X is the number of cards with a cycling ability in your graveyard. Okay, so that's why all the cycling then. And Grim Dancer. Grim Dancer enters the battlefield with your choice of 2 different counters on it from among Menace, Death Touch, and Lifelink. The Menace is a creature with Menace can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. Okay. So you could effectively play it, give it Death Touch and Menace, and then make it attack and have 2 creatures block it, I guess. No, that's the point of it. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, draw a card. That's a pretty good enchantment, but it's blue, red, and white. So you'd have to have 3 colors just to cast it. Alright, we'll go one more Ikoria and then we'll jump back to standard 2021. Crustacean is a 1/6 with flash. By Prophecy, deal 3 damage to target creature. You may put a card from your hand to the bottom of your library. If you do, draw a card. Corpse Churn, mill 3 cards, then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Counter target creature spell. Okay, just a flat out counter creature. Common wild card. Dire Tactics. Exile target creature. If you don't control a human, you lose life equal to its toughness. Exile up to 3 target enchantments. Cycling 2. That's pretty good. 3 mana to kill 3 enchantments. I mean, chances are you're not statistically going to get 3 most of the time. More likely to be 3 mana to remove 1 enchantment, but hey, it's possible. Kahira, the Orphan Guard. That's a cool looking card. Legendary creature, Cat Beast, has Vigilance. Companion. Each creature card in your starting deck is a cat, elemental, nightmare, dinosaur, or beast card. Hang on, what does companion mean? If your starting deck meets the companion's restrictions, you may choose it to be your companion. Once per game, you may pay 3 mana at any time. You could cast a sorcery to put the chosen companion into your hand. Each other creature you control that's a cat, elemental, blah blah blah, gets +1/+1 and has Vigilance. That's pretty boss. That seems something you'd have to build a deck around though, definitely. Alright, open a few more core packets. I think we're approaching halfway through our packs. We are building up a nice little stock of cards we can create cards from. Twin Blade Assassins. 5/4 for 5 mana. Beginning of your end step. If a creature died this turn, draw a card. Defeat of resistance. +1/+1 counter. Secure the scene. I think I've got one of those. Animal Visionary. You can just, so it draws a card, it cycles, and you can add mana to ramp up. Target creature gets +4/+4. Tap up to 2 target creatures. They don't untap. You're in the next end step. Okay. And what's this one? Mazemind Tome. The page counter on Mazemind Tome. Scry 1. Pay 2 and tap it. Put a page counter on Mazemind Tome. Draw a card. When there are 4 or more page counters on it, exile it. If you do, you gain 4 life. Okay. Alright, so you can draw up to 4 cards, I guess, from it, or scry. Double the power of target creature until end of turn. Alright. I don't know what the likelihood of getting high rarity cards is in these booster packs, so bear with me. We've already seen one of those. Bazrai's Acolyte has lifelink, it's a 2/3. Put +1/+1 counters on each of up to 2 other target creatures you control. Okay, that's pretty good. Effectively the value of a 4/5 for 4 mana. Rambunctious Mutt. Oh, I like that artwork. It's a 3/4. When he enters the battlefield, destroy target artifact or enchantment. 2/2 Flying Prowess. That's the first Prowess card I've come across. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Okay. So it buffs up to a 3/3 when you cast a spell for the turn. Alright, we got a 3/2 Flying. When it enters the battlefield, target creature gains flying until end of turn. Silent Dart. 4 mana and tap it. It deals 3 damage to target creature. Gee, that's not bad, because it's an artifact that stays in play. And, I mean, it is 4 mana, but it certainly uses it to take things out. And a Feline Sovereign. Okay, how prim she looks. 2/3. Other cats you control get +1/+1 and have protection from dogs. Protection from dogs. Whenever one or more cats you control deal combat damage to a player, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment. Okay, that's cool. Alright. Core 2021, what do we got? Garruk's Gorehorn. 7/3. Skeleton Archer, I'm sure I have one of those already. With response, destroy target tapped creature. Burn Devils. Pride Malkin. Do you control with +1/+1 counter on a trample? Experimental Overload. Create an XX blue and red weird creature token where X is a number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. Then you may return an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Exile Experimental Overlord. Okay. That's pretty cool looking. A red-blue. Archfiend's Vessel. We got one of those before actually. I meant a 1/1 that you enter from the graveyard. It summons a 5/5. And Speaker of Heavens. Has Vigilance. It's a 1/1 lifelink Vigilance, which you can tap to create a 4/4 angel with flying. Activate this ability only if you have at least 7 life more than your starting life total, and only any time you could cast a sorcery. Okay, that's not bad. So he could reduce them as long as you have 7 more life than you started. Let's pump them out. That's pretty cool. Alright, what do we got? Tavern Swindler. Pay 3 life, flip a coin. If you win the flip, you gain 6 life. Alright, that's interesting. A very interesting mechanic, that one. Crypt Lurker we saw before. Celestial Enforcer. Tap target creature, activate this ability only if you control a creature with flying. Target creature control gets +1/+1 and hexproof. Each opponent loses 2 life. Activate this ability only if a creature died this turn. A common wild card. Sanctum of Tranquil Light. There's a legendary enchantment. It's another shrine. This one's white though, not black like the first one we got. A 6 mana, tap target creature. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each shrine you control. Okay, so it doesn't say that they don't untap, so I guess it's just for the turn. And Heroic Intervention. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. If you're pushing for the win and you need to secure your board, that's the way to go. Alright. Liliana's Devotee. Zombies you control get +1/+0 at the beginning of your end step. If a creature died this turn, you may pay 2 mana. If you do, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Okay, that's not bad if you're running lots of zombies, and I imagine these tokens get the +1, so they're actually 3/2 tokens while he's in play. 1/1 Goblin Shaman. When he dies, have it deal 1 damage to any target. When Daybreak Charge enters the battlefield, target creatures get +2/+0. Choose one, draw 3 cards, or return up to 2 target creatures to their own hands. 6 mana, that's very expensive for that feature. Shock deals 2 damage to any target. We saw one of those earlier. Can a target instant or sorcery spell unless its controller pays 3? Okay, that's not bad. You can't use it on creatures, but... Transmogrify. Exile target creature. That creature's controller reveals cards from the top of their library until they reveal a creature card. That player puts the card onto the battlefield, then shuffles the rest of their library. Okay. Sure. Alright, let's jump back to Throne of Eldraine. Just break it up a little bit, I think. What do we got? Oakhame Ranger. That's a green-white. So, Sorcery Adventure. Create 2 1/1 white human creature tokens. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Oh, that's as a creature. Okay. Weaselback Red Cap. So you can pump it to a 3/1. A target player mills 4 cards. And then it just becomes a 0/4. Lost Legion, Spirit Knight. When Lost Legion enters the battlefield, scry 2. Fairy Guide Mother, Gift of the Fae, Sorcery Adventure. Target creature gets +2/+1 and gains flying until the end of turn, and then it comes back as a 1/1 flying. When it enters the battlefield, you may have it deal 2 damage to another creature you control if you do draw a card. Well, she's not a happy looking camper, is she? And Turtle Hydra, Thunderous Snapper. Alright. Last one is a Black Lance Paragon, which has flash. When it enters the battlefield, gains Death Touch and Lifelink until the end of turn. So you effectively can use it to kill something or block something and gain life. Fair enough. Throne of Eldraine. What do we got? Mystical Dispute. This spell costs 2 less to cast if it targets a blue spell. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 3. Okay. Put any number of target creature cards from your graveyard on top of your library. Draw a card. That's pretty good, unless, you know, there's nothing in your graveyard you want back. Scorching Dragonfire deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If that creature or planeswalker would die this turn, exile it instead. You've seen that already, and that. So, and Wildborn Preserver, Flash and Reach. When another non-human creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay X. When you do, put X +1/+1 counters onto this card. Alright, so you can pump that quite a lot depending on how much money you have available. And our last Throne of Eldraine card. I have no idea if I'm saying these names right. Apologies if I'm not. Sir Conrad the Grim, Human Knight, legendary. Whenever another creature dies or a creature card is put into a graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, Sir Conrad the Grim deals 1 damage to each opponent. Each player mills a card. Okay. Curious Pair. Create a food token. What are food tokens? They're artifacts that sacrifice this artifact, you gain 3 life. Okay. Or it comes in as a 1/3, so it's Hansel and Gretel by the look of it. Scalding Cauldron. Sacrifice Scalding Cauldron, it deals 3 damage to target creature. Very nice. 5 mana, draw 3 cards, Adamant. This spell is an additional effective cast with 3 mana of the indicated colour. 3 blue, scry 3. Okay, is that before or after, I wonder? Before or after you draw, I should say. So we've got a Defender. Creatures control gain haste until end of turn. So if you play this in the same turn as a few other things, they get haste. That's alright. Witching Well is an artifact that when it enters the battlefield, scry 2, and you can use it to draw cards. Oh, you got to sacrifice it though. Target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a non-land card from it. If you do, that player exiles that card. If a non-black card is exiled this way, exile a card from your hand. Okay. Wow. We got a rare mythic rare wild card. So that gives us 2 of those now. Excellent. We are done with that expansion. So let's jump into Theros and see what Theros has in store for us. Minions return. We saw this before. Moss Viper is a 1/1 death touch. Naiad of Hidden Coves. As long as it's not your turn, spells you can't cast cost 1 less to cast. That's pretty good in a blue deck actually, because you'll be casting a lot of things on your opponent's turn. Vexing Gull has flash and flying. We saw one of those earlier. Aspect of Lamprey. Alright. Enchanted creature has lifelink and you can make your opponent discard 2 cards. That's pretty good. Another common wild card. Staggering Insight. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has lifelink, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Alright, and another land, but this one's blue-white. It comes in scrying. Alright. Theros, what have we got next? Excellent. We've earned ourselves another rare. Valerius Entrapped. That's a pretty cool looking card. Valerius Enraptured enters the battlefield tapped. Valerius doesn't untap during your untap step if you control a reflection. When Valerius enters the battlefield, create a 3/2 blue reflection creature token. So he comes in as a 2/3 and has a 3/2. Once the 3/2's dead or gone, then he'll untap as a 2/3. That's interesting. I'm not sure how to quantify that in terms of value. Anyway. Citizen Training. China creature control. When it's about to draw a card. Alright. Another aspect of Lamprey. Scavenging Harpies, a 2/1 with flying. Exile target creature from an opponent's graveyard. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn except combat damage that would be dealt by enchanted creatures and enchantment creatures. Scry 2. Whenever another creature you control attacks, it gets +0/+1 until end of turn. And Timerette, chosen from death. Right, legendary enchantment. Timerette's toughness is equal to your devotion to black. Right. Devotion to black. Each black mana in the mana costs of permanents you control counts towards your devotion to black. That's interesting. So if you've got a lot of cards out there with black symbols in their cost, it gets tougher and tougher. Exile up to 2 target cards from graveyards. Gain 1 life for each creature card exiled this way. So not just my graveyard, I can do it to the opponent's graveyard as well. That's an interesting card. Choose one. Destroy X target artifacts and/or enchantments. Target player gains twice X life. Very good. And our last Theros pack. So hopefully Theros is good to us on their last pack here. Underworld Fires. Deals 1 damage to each creature in each planeswalker. Permanent dealt damage this way would die, exile it. I think we've seen that one before. 1/2 flying, Aura's card. Yeah, we've seen that before as well. Discard a card, draw a card. Deal 2 damage to target. With sacrifice to scry, I'm pretty sure we've seen that as well. But this one's new. 3 mana, black 2/3. Sacrifice a creature to draw a card. An enchantment. Enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker opponent controls. And a creature gets +1/+1. And last one we got was Dryad of the Elysian Grove. 2/4 for 3 mana. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Wow, that's a lot of ramp if you've got the draw to keep up with it. Lands you control are every basic land type in addition to their other types. That is pretty insane. But you would have to build your deck around that, I imagine, to make the best use of it. Alright. So that was the end of that expansion. Let's have a look at Ikoria. So we've got the General's Enforcer, who is a human soldier. Legendary humans you control have indestructible. Okay. Exile target creature from a graveyard. If it was a creature card, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. That's pretty cool. I note that he himself is not a legendary human, because otherwise I'm sure it would say legendary human. Lava Serpent, haste and cycling. Oh, this is the cycling packs, is it? Reach and mutate. Whenever this creature mutates, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Cast a spell for its mutate cost. Put it under or over target non-human creature you own. They mutate into the creature on top, plus all abilities from underneath it. That, I don't... So if I have this 2/3 out, and I play this with the mutate cost, which is going to make it 8 mana, he then becomes a 5/4 with reach and all of this legendary humans control of indestructible stuff. I'm not sure how that works, so if you know, let me know. Greater Sandworm. Can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Just a straight 1/5 black creature. Ferocious Targarilla. It's an interesting combination. Enters the battlefield with your choice of trample, counter, or a menace counter. Okay. Rawgrin Crystal. So it's an artifact that can add one of those colors or cycle. And we got a rare wild card. Lovely. Alright, Coria. We're nearly there. We got another uncommon. We got a Cunning Nightbonder, which is a 2/2 black-blue creature with flash. Spells with flash, you cast cost 1 less to cast and can't be countered. Wow, that's pretty decent if you're running like a blue-black counter deck. Dead Weight, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets -2/-2. Excavation Mole, Trample. Mill 3 cards. That Cloud Piercer again. Asset Reader. Draw a card, then discard a card. Boot Nipper. We've seen one of those earlier. And Yorion, Sky Nomad. Legendary creature, Bird Serpent. Blue-white, +5 mana. It's one of those flying companions. The requirement for the companion, I guess, is your starting deck contains at least 20 cards more than the minimum deck size. When Yorion enters the battlefield, exile any number of other non-land permanents you own and control. Return those cards to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. Wonder what the benefit of that would be. It would remove negative enchantments that are put on them. It would also remove any enchantments you've played on them. So I'm not sure. I'd have to think about how those interactions would work and why you would actually opt to do that, but it's a very cool looking card. Last but not least, Coria. Keensight Mentor. The 1/4. Put a vigilance counter on target non-human creature you control. We can tap it and pay 2 to put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control with vigilance. Okay, that's cool. Dreamtail Heron. 3/4 flying with mutate. You draw a card if you cast it with mutate. Deals damage to target creature equal to the number of lands you control. Sudden Spinnerets. Target gets +1/+3 until end of turn. Put a reach counter on it. Assume that reach counter doesn't go away. Oh, and you can untap, so you can attack and then use this to buff something and have it block a flying creature. We read that one before. It's a common wild card, and we had a General's Enforcer before. And what's this? Land, Island, Mountain, Plains. So it enters the battlefield tapped. You can cycle it later in the game if you don't need it, I guess. Let's draw a card. You can add red, blue, or white. Cool. Alright. Down to our last 5 packs. Core 2021 packs, I should say. Alright, let's see what we got. Alright, Cultivate. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal those cards and put 1 onto the battlefield tapped and the other into your hand, then shuffle your library. A good ramp spell. Target creature gets +4/+4 till end of turn. Target creature gets +1/+1 and gains your choice of Death Touch or Lifelink until end of turn. That's not bad. Add 1 mana of any color on this 2/1. Hobble Fiend. 2/1 trample. Sacrifice on the creature. Put a 1/1 counter on him. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2, has first strike, and is a knight in addition to his other types. And an uncommon wild card.
Yet it chews through the strongest metals.
So we've got a Planeswalker. This is my first Planeswalker. Teferi, Master of Time. You may activate loyalty abilities of Teferi, Master of Time on any player's turn anytime you could cast an instant. So +1, so that gives him +1 health. You draw a card, then discard a card. You can take 3 off him. Target creature you don't control phases out. Treat it and anything attached to it as though they don't exist until its controller's next turn. That's an interesting mechanic. So I was trying to think what you would use that for. So you would use that on your opponent's turn to stop them attacking or tapping it or something. Or use it on your turn to stop it from blocking, I guess. And -10 is to take 2 extra turns after this one. That's pretty insane if you get to the point where you've got 10 life on him and you're taking 10 to have 2 extra turns. That would pretty much end the game, I would have thought. That's very cool. Very happy that we got that, and we didn't need to use a mythic rare to create him. 4 packs to go. Or are we getting another one? 12 more packs until my next mythic rare. It's a little ways to go, although we can craft a lot of cards. Witch's Cauldron. Sacrifice a creature, you gain 1 life and draw a card. Yeah, okay. Igneous Cur gets +2/+0 till end of turn. We've got to secure the scene. I think we've got a couple of those. Masked Blackguard, so 2/1 flash, gets +1/+1. Bone Pit Brute. When Bone Pit Brute enters the battlefield, target creature gets +4/+0 until end of turn. And he's got Menace. He's pretty full on. Canopy Stalker. Must be blocked if able. When it dies, you gain 1 life for each creature that died this turn. And last one, Transmogrify. We got one of those earlier as well. 3 packs to go. What's this? Legendary Enchantment Shrine. That's our 3rd shrine. Discard a land card or shrine card. Sanctum of Shattered Heights deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker, where X is the number of shrines you control. Okay, so you'd have to have a few still. So. Destructive Tampering. Choose 1. Destroy target artifact. Creatures without flying can't block this turn. Cancel. Counter target spell. It's pretty straightforward. It's all there in the name. Sanguine Indulgence. The spell costs 3 less to cast if you gain 3 or more life this turn. Return up to 2 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Deathbloom Thallid. When it dies, create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. Okay. Portcullis Vine. Sacrifice a creature with Defender. Draw a card. And Tolarian Kraken. Pretty sure I've got one of those already. Volcanic Salvo. Wowza. 12 mana. The spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total power of creatures you control. Volcanic Salvo deals 6 damage to each of up to 2 target creatures and or planeswalkers. If you've got 10 power on the board, you're casting that for 2. And you're damaging 2 targets. That's pretty cool. Alright, second last. We have a Chrome Replicator. When he enters the battlefield, if you control 2 or more non-land, non-token permanents with the same name as one another, create a 4/4 colorless construct artifact creature token. That is a mouthful to say. I understand the concept, but it's a mouthful. We grabbed one of those before and one of those, and I'm pretty sure we've got one of those and those. We had a Cage Zombie. Furious Rise, I think, might be the only new one here. It's an enchantment. If you control a creature with power 4 or greater, exile the top card. Exile the top card of your library. You may play that card until you exile another card with Furious Rise. And legendary creature Human Shaman. Ubidi Tulzidi Caravana. Oh, Caravana. got a bit overboard there. She's a 2/3 with haste. Another target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn for 1 random mana. And for 2 mana, and tap her and discard your hand until end of turn. Whenever a creature you control with power 2 or less deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. It's a pretty good way to... It's very expensive. I guess if you're playing red, chances are you don't have a hand to discard, so that really doesn't matter. And you're going to have a lot of creatures with 2 or less. Deals combat damage to a player, so they also have to let the combat damage through or have no blockers, effectively. Big what if there on whether or not you'll get value from that, but still a very cool card. And lucky last for our 4 2021 packs. Let's see what we got. Traitorous Greed. Gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. Add 2 mana of any one color. Okay. Another Bone Pit Brute. Another Ranger's Guile. Another Destructive Tampering. Track Down. 2 mana, scry 3, then reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature or land card, draw a card. Another Turret Ogre. And Epitaph Golem is an artifact creature. Put target card from your graveyard on the bottom of your library. And last one, Fari Emancipation. If a source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals triple that damage to that permanent or player instead. Okay, that's a pretty good enchantment. Yeah, very good enchantment. Alright, so that's all of our packs opened up. That was pretty fun, guys. I really enjoyed that. I've actually learned a bit more about the game and the types of cards involved just from doing that. So I hope you enjoyed it as well. Remember to like and subscribe, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and I will catch you next time for some more Magic the Gathering Arena.